Well, good evening and welcome to the West Ham Weekly on a new platform called the West Ham Voice. For those of you who are watching and found me, thank you very much for doing so. If you've been around before, if you've watched my show in the past, you know what the old show is all about. It's an update on the news that has happened over the past week, and and that's what I do. And for those of you who are new to the channel, that's exactly what it is. Thank you for all finding me. Thank you all for watching. And I can see there's a few comments already. So before I do anything else, let's start with who's in the chat. Good evening, Long Dart. You found me. Finally, the Stellar Vision is back on. It's like the power cuts of the 70s. And I remember the power cuts of the 70s. I'm old enough to do so. Good evening, Black Country. Will I be on time? I think I wasn't I? Maybe a couple of minutes late. Who knows? Vinay, how are you, mate? Yeah, he's back, isn't he? There's only one mess to argue. Hammerette, how are you? Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Robert, hello, mate. 3-0 up at half time. Oh, let's not worry about them. Good evening, Andy. How are you? Why not check out 6foot2? If you have yet to do so, 6foot2.co.uk. Mr. Khan's new website. It's really, really good. So do check it out if you haven't done so. I hope you're well, Andy. Hammerette, at least we can take some comfort in knowing that the Spuds have got manure next. Long Dark. In retrospect, we are a bit unlucky. We were, and I'm going to talk about the game in a minute. I'm going to go through the couple of games that we played. I'm going to go through some player information, a few updates. I'm going to do a little section, a little feature called the a Moyes feature, the Moyesiah, and the things that he says. And then I'm going to finish off talking about Seville. And those of you who are going to go, see you out there. Good evening, Mice Collective. Foot two, that's a poor site. This is a sports channel. Yeah, 6'2", not foot two. Who else we got? Good evening, Trini. How are you? Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Hammerette, I just hope we aren't too negative on it. Never. You know I'm never negative. We gave good account of ourselves and proved we can play well without Declan. Nobes was awesome. Confident for Sevilla. Absolutely. We mice are never negative about. Exactly. You've got to be positive. Absolutely. Andy, totally confident after how we played. So am I. So I'm going to talk about that later on. Absolutely. TV is going off. Why is it going off? What's wrong? Don't tell me you've had a power cut. Good evening, Paul. Thank you for joining. Spuds 4-0. Okay, Mice Collective. Sevilla, we squeeze like an orange. Hammerette, positive vibes. We're still massive. Gonna give Sevilla a good game and then smash them at the London Stadium. That's exactly what we want to hear. Good evening, Trini. I was pleasantly surprised with our performance against Liverpool, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Absolutely. Hammerette, Toffees are 1 point clear of bottom three. Imagine if Lampard take them down. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be funny? Lampard taking them down. Aside for the couple of sitters, we really made Liverpool work for them points, and we were unlucky not to have our point. We should have won. Good evening, James. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Mice. Musaka is better than Vlasic, to be honest. Masuaku. Don't know about that, Mice. Trini, I really want Newcastle to go down, but they look like they will. Yeah, unfortunately, they do. Garino, good evening to you. Thank you for joining, mate. Everton has spent a fortune, it seems, with little return to show for it. They don't have a good manager, do they? If only they had a decent manager. Who else have we got here in the chat? You're all talking to each other, which is nice. Good evening, Julie. How are you? I've had enough. Forget about them. Forget about Spurs. James, I was hoping for a grand tour or make that Sangria tour. Who's going on a Sangria tour? Finn, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. 5-0. Let's not worry about them. Let's not worry about them. They still got to win their games in hand, which they probably won't. How are you, Howard? Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Black Country. I made a curry tonight. I made a vegetarian curry tonight. Yeah, I made it. I know the missus was like, she fell over. Good evening, Claret and Booze. Same channel, different channel, same still. Of course, I hope you can hear me. You can. That's a good thing. Vinay, I can't. I'm not going to be able to cover all your comments, but thank you. You just carry on throwing them in. Vinay, Southerner like Lampard, not good fit for Everton. Really good point. Garino, been kicked again. Apache still rehearsing his I want to break free. Good evening to you, mate. Good evening, Grant. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining as usual. Well, as usual on the new channel. Mark, how are you? Nice to see a lot of new faces, a lot of familiar faces here. I really appreciate that. Thought I was late. Of course, you weren't late. It's me, Gary. How are you? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Andrew, good evening to you. Evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining as well. Victor, hello, mate. Nice of you to join. Artel, how are you, mate? Thank you for joining as well. So, shall we start with the show? Like I said, if you're new here, the setup of the show is quite simple, which is why it's called the weekly. I go through the whole week's worth of news, not every single thing, but the highlights of the week that's passed, and talk them through. That includes match review, a quick match review, player information, and a few features as well. In this on this new channel as well, I won't be doing what other channels do in terms of I won't be doing previews, I won't be doing reviews, I won't be doing watch alongs because I'll be at the game, so you won't get all of that. But I will do a couple of shows during the week, probably be early evening, maybe sometimes at lunchtimes, but it'll be like the Monday, the West Ham Weekly every Monday, and then maybe 2 or 3 shows at most the rest of the week as well. And what I'll do in those shows, I'll pick up a particular highlight, a particular topic of interest, and sort of talk that through. That'll be it. I'm not going to do any more than that. Too many hours in the not enough hours in the day. Black Country. The way Fat Frank is going this time next year, he'll be managing the Sunday League. Let's get on with the show, shall we? And the first part is, of course, looking at the games that have been played over the past week. So let's start with the FA Cup game last Wednesday, shall we? Met quite a lot of people down there. Nigel and Nick and Gary and John. John. John, were you there? I met so many people, I can't remember. But it was nice to see people, and maybe that was the highlight of going down to Southampton because, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think we actually played that badly. And I know people are going to start going, what are you talking about, mate? I think we kind of played all right. But unfortunately, we, finishing was the problem for us. And we going down to, let's start with the first goal, shall we? Because when they scored that, was it a great strike? Or was Areola out of position? I've had these conversations with various people already, and I don't know. I don't want to blame Areola. I think Areola's a very good keeper, and it was a bit of a wonder strike. But the only thing I've got to say about it was that it wasn't in the top bins. It wasn't in the top corner. So a lot of people would have expected Areola to save that. I don't know. He started off too far over to his right, maybe. Look, going a goal down. That was on half an hour. That was against the run of play. Because we didn't look like we were going to lose that game in any way. We looked comfortable. I think. I think we kind of looked okay. That gave them the momentum, and as and I think we sort of started to. We felt like it started to flail a bit after that. The starting lineup. Forgot to mention that. There was. No surprises, I guess. Areola in goal for all the cup games. Diop was in, which you'd expect again, but playing 3 at the back because Creswell wasn't available. And the rest of the team, as usual, Soucek, Fornals, Lanzini, Declan, these players are going to play and play and play and play until they drop. And I've got something to say about that later on as well. So going back to the goal, I don't know. I'm not going to blame Areola. I know you'll all have your own views, but I'm not going to blame him. I think Parole or Parald or whatever you want to call, however you want to call him, it was a decent strike for him. But we kept going, and Mickey, he got his first goal since the 1st of January, which was fantastic as well. And it was really good for him to get back on the score sheet. Who cares? It was a messy little tap in. It doesn't matter. They all count. And I think it was good that he got off the mark again. Right. Well, the turning point of the game, of course, was the Dawson challenge 5 minutes into the second half. Let's be honest, it was a penalty. Dawson, as much as Moyes decided to criticise Dawson so publicly, it was a late challenge, and that gave Southampton the momentum. And of course, after that we were chasing the game, and they scored right at the death as well. Look, the difference between the two teams. I think it's obvious to everybody, really, isn't it? The difference between the two teams is that Southampton put out 9 players who are not necessarily their first starters these days, and we put out the same team like we do over and over and over again. What change do we have? The goalie. Okay, the goalie. Diop came in, for Creswell, who wasn't available. But then you look at that team, and what difference is there? And then you look at the bench, and you got a plethora of youngsters there. You got a player who hardly plays, Kroll. You got Randolph because Fabianski had a rest, and then Alese, Okaflex, Chesters, Ekwa. Great to see him on the bench, Perkins, and the only two players that you could say that are senior players, apart from Krala and Randolph, I guess, are Ben Rama and Vlasic. So we know what's gone wrong. Strength in depth, yet again, is the thing that has sort of impacted on us. In the post-match press conference, Moyes made quite a bizarre statement by suggesting that the reason why Southampton won the game was because they could make 5 subs during the game. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not just one team that's allowed to make 5 subs. The manager of the opposition can also do the same. And I kind of know what he was getting at. The only players he had available to him, senior players, established players, if you call them what you want, was Ben Rama and Vlasic. But if you're never going to use the youngsters, if you're never going to give someone like Okoflex or Chesters, I know Chesters came on in the Liverpool game, which was great, but if you're not going to use them in a game like an FA Cup to see what they're made of, when do they get that opportunity to do so? Look, maybe he had his fingers burnt last season when he used Mipo Odobeko in a kind of a strange sort of way. If anyone can remember that, Odobeko was put on in the last minute of the third round against Stockport. He hardly had a kick, hardly any time to demonstrate what he was capable of. Then in the fourth round, he put Odobeko on away to Man United, and then the player was hauled off again in extra time, and he put Yarmolenko on, and that couldn't have done the player much confidence at all. And I wonder, maybe Moyes has got that on his mind. Maybe he's thinking, I don't want to put these youngsters in a precarious situation, and maybe I should only play them when we're really secure, etc. in a game. You can't do that. You can't do that. You don't know what Okoflex or Chesters or any of the other youngsters could have done in that game. An unknown source. Other teams seem to do it quite well. Liverpool seem to do it okay. Other big teams seem to do it okay, and they reap the reward from it. Give them 10 minutes, give them 15 minutes. Look, okay, we lost. We move on. We're out of the FA Cup. We've got 2 competitions left, really, now, haven't we? And that's to go as high as we can in the Premier League, and that's also the Europa League, which I'm going to talk about a little later on. So we move on, and then Liverpool and our starting lineup for Liverpool. Well, look. What changes did he make? Diop dropped to the bench because Creswell was back. Fabianski's back instead of Areola. And he gave Vlasic a start. Nice. But then the rest of the team, all right, Declan was out because of a virus. But the rest of the team, same really, isn't it? Antonio, Bowen, Vlasic, etc. But let me put this straight first. Great play by West Ham United. Boy, did we play well. And did any of us really expect that sort of performance? After losing to Southampton, I think we all were looking, well, not even looking forward to the game against Liverpool, were we? When we heard that Declan was out, that sort of worried us even more. But let's be honest, we did brilliantly. By the way, did you see who was on the bench? Yeah, Arthur. Arthur's back. The return of the king. Good grief. I mean, things will never be the same again. Arthur's back. Everything's all right. Anyway, let's move on. We were told that other players like Ryan Fredericks were likely to recover from his minor groin strain. He was on the bench as well. But I just wonder how fit Arthur and Fredericks were they just filling up the spaces on the bench? Because I'm not so sure. We only heard a few weeks ago that Arthur Masuaku was likely to be out for the rest of the season. So let's see if they actually get any game time being on the bench. But would Moyes do that? Would Moyes put players on the bench that aren't fit, just so that he doesn't bring the youngsters in? I don't know. Look, as far as the game goes, if we're going to blame Areola for the first goal against Southampton, I'm likely to say that we have to blame Fabianski for the Liverpool goal. He seemed to hesitate. The ball came across, and I think the defenders were thinking maybe Fabianski's got that, but then he just seemed to hesitate for a moment. Caught Dawson off guard, and they scored. So I don't know. Harsh on Fabianski? I don't know. You tell me. But we played well. We played well. We defended well. We were hitting them on the break, and boy, oh boy, could we have gotten. We had enough chances to get equal. Fornals, what happened there? I know he talked about talking to Allison after the game about what he was like, what he was thinking about doing, and for me, I would have just he was look. I can't blame him because I think Fornals had a good game, but I think he was trying to be a bit too clever. But that was our first opportunity, wasn't it? And then, of course, the astonishing miss. I mean, look at those two photos, virtually the same. Lanzini, the goalie, etc. Lanzini. I mean, he just lost his head, didn't he? I think he got so excited knowing that he was about to score against Liverpool that he just momentarily lost his head. And we had more chances than that. We had other chances with the later on, soon after that. Antonio broke free. If he'd have looked across, Ben Rama was free. But we had our chances. Antonio in the first few minutes of the game was superb as well in that strike, left-footed strike. I know Salah had his opportunity as well, but a great save by Fabianski before they scored their goal. So Liverpool didn't have it all their way. I think we played exceptionally well, and I think above everything else, for all the mediocre performances that we've had over the past, since November, December, etc. For all those performances, coming out and putting in a performance like that, especially when you've got the likes of Declan, and we lost Bowen as well, early in the second half and so on. And I'm going to talk about Declan and Bowen a little later on. We're losing those players and then continuing to, and then still putting in a performance of the magnitude that we did. I think, we got to give the players a lot of credit, because I think that I kind of said it, I think, to some of the guys on Claret and Booze, etc. I think that could restart our season again. I think it's one of those performances where you go, do you know what? Maybe this season isn't over yet. Maybe this season has still got a lot of life left in it. And putting in a performance like that, a real gutsy performance, you walk away, those who went to Anfield, you walk away from that and you're disappointed at the result. But then you think to yourself, you know what? The performance stood up for itself, and it takes us, it stands us in good stead, doesn't it, for the game that we got against Seville coming up later on this week. Right, that's it. I'm not going to go into too much depth about the whole analysis about the games, etc. It's just a glossing over of how I thought the games went. Right, last week I talked about fixture changes, and I suggested that on the 9th of April we were playing Man United, which we clearly aren't. I made a mistake there. So I mentioned these last week, but there's also another fixture change, the one at the top. On the 20th of March, we now play Spurs at 4:30 rather than 2 o'clock. So well done, Sky Sports, for insisting on that change, because all it's going to mean is that all the fans are going to get even more pissed up before that game. Great. Now that really bodes well, doesn't it? So on the 20th of March, 4:30 p.m., we've got the game against Spurs. On the 3rd of April, 2 p.m. against Everton, and 9th of April, 12:30 against Brentford. Right. Let's move on to the next part. Oh, actually, let's do some chat, because I can see there's a lot of comments in here. So let's scroll up to there. Good evening, James. How are you? Fancy Well, there you are, mate. Find me in all the best places, don't you? Trini, I really want Newcastle to go down, but yep, we've done that one. My apologies. I went too far up. Hammerette, yes, they've spanked a lot of money. Have no return. And that's Spurs. Everton, sorry. Delhi needs to score. Trini, don't think he can play. He is on loan. Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, he is. You're absolutely right. Hammerette. I wish Stell would hurry up and drag my eyes away from the TV. Switch it off. Switch it off. Um, Trini, do we play Everton in our running? I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. Andy reckons at the London Stadium in about 3 games' time. Let's spank them. Let's hope they don't go on good form by then. Garino, still much, but I am actually losing my train of thought. I must be honest. Thank God I got stuff written down, otherwise it'd be even worse. Trini, yes, we played the Spuds, then Everton back to back after our 6 points there, no problem at all. Come on, Star, I've had enough. Switch it off. Switch it off. It's just shitter to watch. Kane doing the arm pump thing makes me feel physically sick. Switch the TV off. Let's scroll down. Who we got? Let's scroll down. We said good evening to you, Grant. I've gone up too far, it seems. So let's go down even further. John, a big reveal, just late as per. I wasn't late. I don't think I was. You're still talking about me being late. Black Country, the way Fat Frank is going next time. Oh yeah, I've done. See, I've gone far too far up. My apologies for that. See, doing a new channel, it's puts me off guard. Stella, I'm not a spanner, not good enough for you. Don't worry, I haven't even gone that far yet. Jonathan, good evening to you. So this is weird. Another channel, but nothing's changed. I know. I'm screwing up, aren't I? I'm losing viewers as I go along. Howard, come on, Stella, give Hammer at the top. I will. After I can't do it now, but I promise I will. She'll be the first spammerette of this channel. Black Country, don't start me on again, Stell. Shit bench. Well, yeah, but did you mean about the Southampton bench or the? I want to see what the youngsters can do. So I can't say they're shit at the moment, but I get you. Not enough depth, mate. Not enough depth. Hammerette, we had a bench of kids, didn't we? 10 minutes till we're dumped out the cup and we're losing. Use the kids. At least try. Absolutely correct. Robert, time you fess up. Why are you going solo? I haven't got time for that, mate. Howard, it's not the same not seeing a big tool next to your name. There's a big tool presenting, so it's about as good, isn't it? It's just frustrating to watch. No, nothing was going to change unless we do something different. That was frustrating. That's the thing that kind of, I think it would have been. Again, he used the same players, didn't he? And why not give the youngsters 10 minutes and see what they could have done in that game? Vinay Masuaku can be a game changer. Yeah, he can lose us games. Andrew Faulkner, never understood bigging up these youngsters, not even giving them 10 minutes at least. If we get more injuries, he's going to have to exactly that. If we get any more injuries, he's going to have no choice. Mark Few thought that was back soon. That's a relief. Thought he was back soon. That's a relief. Me. Andy Fabianski, what I thought, mate. The one thing I've criticised Fabianski over this season mainly is he doesn't come off his line. He's rooted to his line. Ironically, he did do that in the Wolves game. He was coming out and grabbing the ball, but he does. I think it was his ball to take. To be honest with you, Black Country. I know Happy Amaret Moyes got no balls between his legs. Vinay Moyes puts players on the bench to get them used to the bench wood and sitting posture, which can be hard for 90 minutes. Thank you, John. I never do it. Like, subscribe, etc., etc. I much appreciate it because I never, I keep forgetting to do that. Andy again. Liverpool were playing counter attack for the last 15. How did we not get anything out of that game? How did we not get anything out of that game? Andrew, if he runs out of players, he's got to play them. He's going to have to. What's he going to do otherwise? I'm going to talk about Moyes and a comment he made about the squad later on. Mice, Stella, I hope you make sure your cats behave with small birds and mice. I can't tell them what to do. I'll tell. Denver Bar needs to teach the first team how to finish before he starts with under 18s. Now, apparently he's not back training with West Ham. I'm not sure. I didn't have time to look into that story properly today, but I will update you whether he is back as a coach or anything. Black Country, Lanzini had a good game. I thought he was our best player. I would have put my house on scoring that goal. Bad day at the office. Absolutely. It was a bad day at the office. James Hammerett, does Mr. Hammerett miss chances like that at home too? Oh dear, don't answer that, Hammerett. Oh, you have never. English Yardy, hello mate, how are you? To be honest, this match makes me even more frustrated. We are right there with the greedy 6 teams. It's annoying. Moyes has done wonders with this team. We need to spend money, bring in quality. We do. But as I've asked the question on many occasions, is the board not giving Moyes the money, or is it Moyes dithering in the transfer market? For me, I think it's the latter. I really do. But anyway, good evening, John. How are you? Thank you for joining, mate. Don't worry, you've not missed much. You've missed me fumbling for the last 15 minutes. Andrew, I bet Mouthgate is over Kane right now. Good evening, Epic. How are you? You wanted all the money for yourself. Trust me, mate. I'm nowhere near making any money on this channel. Trust me on that. Good evening, James. Thank you for joining, mate. I hope you're well. Julie, had you sobered up fully between Southampton and Liverpool? What I didn't get over, I had to share. I've got to tell you. I've got to tell you this. I had to share a room with my good friend David Wigram. Wiggy, I don't know if you watch. He probably doesn't watch. And he's a lovely guy. He is. He's generous. He's good fun to be around. Great laugh, etc. But fuck me, does he snore? Oh my giddy aunt. He snores. It's like a rhinoceros on acid. I'll tell you. David, if you're watching, I'm sorry, mate. Hammerhead, good evening to you. Oi, oi, mate. How are you? I hope you're well. You didn't get a review notification. Well, have you subscribed to this channel? Something went on earlier. It took quite a while for it to actually appear. So I'll try and sort that out between now and the next show. Jonathan, evening all. Don't forget to give us a thank you and a thank you. Much appreciated. That would be very nice. Absolutely. Ian, hello, mate. West Ham will take great confidence from their injury crisis at Sevilla, who have also failed to beat Espanyol, Celta Vigo, and Osasuna, as well as losing to Dinamo Zagreb. And I'm going to talk about them later as well, because they also drew with relegation candidates, Alaves, at the weekend, 0-0. Mark, they paid Stell's ransom money. Now he's free. He's done. Toby, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. We've all made Stelios free. Good evening, Anil. How are you? Looking forward to a massive few weeks and months ahead. It started at Liverpool, don't you think? Don't you think? I think the tide has changed. The tide has changed at Liverpool. Pat, how are you, mate? Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Jonathan, we had chances just like many games, but poor finishing on our part. It's a running problem. It is. And I've got something to say about, or Moyes had something to say about that as well. So when I get to the Moyes section, well, Kian, hello, mate. I hope you're looking after your mum. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Wiggy is too old to use comments, but he asked me to tell you you're making it. Oh, Kian, mate. If Wiggy ever says to you, don't worry, Kian, share a room with me at an away game, say no. Sleep under a bridge. You'll get much more sleep. I fell asleep at 6:30 when Wiggy woke up. There you go. I'll tell. Moyes dithering for me, simply intransigence. What a word. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Mousegate is a good manager. Yeah, when he picks Bowen, he will be. Jonathan, BA was just using his old clubs as a 3-day education for badges or management. Not sure, but he did the same to Newcastle. Good point. Good evening, Sean. How are you? Hey, Stel. Good show. Sober and pointing the right way up. Yeah, okay. Have you finished your podcast? That's early. Oh, mind you, it's nearly 10, so maybe not. Grant, BA was just visiting and learning, not joining. That's good. Would you have him, though? A BA, Bar. Would you have him at the club, as a coach? Hammerett, Stel, Irish Patrick will be joining us for the Sevilla home game. I'll be over there. So, great. Toby, yep, Greeno, I'm a don't worry, you and Hammerett will get your spanners, I promise you. Ashley, how are you, mate? How can Arsenal get away with so much cheat? I don't know. I haven't watched it. What happened? Sean, you're a nasty bastard, Sean. Right, let's move on to the next part of the show, shall we? What is the next part of the show? So the under 23s weren't playing again this week. They've had a couple of games rearranged, so they've not been in action. But I guess that gave many of them the opportunity to sit on the bench at Southampton. So not too much wasted time, I guess. The last game the under 23s played was the 2-0 away defeat to Premier League Two leaders Man City. However, despite West Ham under 23s not playing, there have been games in the league, and West Ham are now dropped down to third place, a point behind second place at Arsenal, who beat Spurs 2-1 at the weekend. However, let's get back to my Premier League Two. However, look, they're doing all right. They've lost quite a few games over the last few weeks. Look, they won one, drew one, and lost their last three. But they're right in there. They've got 2 games in hand over league leaders Man City and Arsenal. And if they win their 2 games in hand, they'll jump up above Arsenal. And they'll only be a few points behind Man City. So despite the slightly poor run of form over the last few weeks, they're still doing pretty well. So good luck to the boys when they come back in action again on Friday against Chelsea. I mean, who do you want to beat? Them, of course. The women's team, they've also not been in action over the last week. Their last game was the 1-0 win against Reading in the Women's FA Cup. They're back in action in the league this coming Thursday. And they also face Chelsea as well. They currently sit 8th in the league. I know this is Nigel Khan's most favourite part of the show, the women's football part. But they sit 8th in the league. They're quite comfortable. Would be nice to see them progressing a little bit. But, they're having a reasonable season. Now, staying on the women's football, I talked last week about the West Ham Women's Academy looking for local talent. And if anyone is remotely interested, you can go onto the West Ham official website to register. So if there are any young ladies out there who fancy their chances becoming a footballer, if you're age 16 years or over from the 1st of September 2022 and you want to play, then register your interest on the West Ham website. Right. We did have one game in the academy and women's league, and that was the under 18s. Boy, oh boy, they were back in action with aplomb again. I don't know if you remember in the show last week, I mentioned that they beat West Bromwich Albion 6-0. They were at it again, 6-0 again against Reading, this time away from home. I mean, not only did they win by such a great result, but they had kept yet another clean sheet. I think that was their 4th clean sheet in a row. The under 18s, they are scoring goals for fun. The first goal came after a penalty was given. Archie Wood stepped up on the 9th minute to give West Ham United the lead. And then from there on, we kind of we were 3-0 up by half time. Callum Marshall grabbed his 5th of the season after joining us in the January transfer window. And then on the half-hour mark, George Earthy grabbed his goal as well. And then after half time, on the 54th minute, yet another midfielder got in on the act. Lewis Orford grabbed his first goal. And then 4 minutes later, Gideon Kadua, who is another player that is becoming a goal machine. I've talked about Divin Mbama on the under 18s, and Callum Marshall, who's joined us, and this young lad, Gideon Kadua, is another one who keeps scoring goals for fun. In the game against West Brom last week, he scored a hat-trick, and in the game against Reading, he got a brace. Absolutely fantastic. And the under 18s, I think I said some weeks ago that the under 18s were looking at trying to sort of get around 6th place. Look where they are. Okay, they played a game more than the other teams around them, but they are sitting 2nd in the league, just 1 point behind Southampton. And they're having an absolutely smashing season. Good on them. Good on them. It's good to see players like this who are the academy, who are showing a lot of talent and a lot of effort. Right. Some news that came in earlier today. Elliot Ward, former academy graduate Elliot Ward, has returned to West Ham as the under 14s coach. The former defender retired from playing football last season and he's returned to where his professional career started. He said, West Ham is a club I know very well, so it feels like I'm slotting right back in. I've never been, and it feels like I've never been away. He went on to say, the under-14s is a group I know very well because that's the age I joined West Ham. So I know what these boys are going through. It's just about helping them now and putting a solid platform in place to help them push on. There's a lot to add to their respective games, and West Ham has the structure in place to help these young players do that. 37 years of age, Elliot Ward. Great to see him back. He says that the Academy of Football's philosophy is bringing former West Ham players back to coach the youngsters in order for them to become the players of tomorrow. It's something that West Ham are keen to do throughout the club, and bringing former players in and into coach the graduates. We wish you luck. Absolutely fantastic, and welcome back. Right, now I'm going to do a little funny bit. Actually, we've got some comments, so let me go back to the comments. What have we got? Let's scroll up. I won't go too far up. We'll do here. English Yardie, we played well against Liverpool, should at least got a point. I can't wait for our first leg against Seville. We will be ready. Benrahma to replace Bowen. Occo Flex to replace Benrahma as a sub. Interesting. Toby, I wouldn't recommend eating there Thursday because I won't give a toss about the food. Eating where? In Seville, some of the best food around, mate. Or are you talking about somewhere else? Podcast finish as Nigel was tired after working an honest day for the first time in 28 years. Oh dear. Black Country, Hammerette will get still wangered, yeah. A home game, hotel booked and all that shit. What game are you talking about? I'm not going to be there. Garino, I had a last minute medical appointment come up on Thursday evening, so I had to move my work commitments. Is that medical in Seville by any chance? I'm watching the first leg of Seville game at Duke's Pub in Lewisham. Hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. Toby, James. Toby doesn't have a spanner with him. Don't worry. They're going to get one soon. Toby, hopefully, Pat, I can't stay for 100, but I'm planning on see, they like talking. Come on, they like talking to each other. Claret Boots, come on, help Stel out and hit the like button. Please. I keep forgetting to ask, so please hit the like button. I am struggling today, to be quite honest with you, because it all feels, even though it's the same environment, it feels a bit weird and new. Anyway, Pat, I've been in the supporters club for a while before the game. What game are you talking about? The Seville home leg. I'll see you there, I guess. What else we got? Hammerettes, supporters club, last drop. Meet peeps there for either one. But we'll sort it all out. Andy, I tried to register at the Women's Academy, but they don't accept 54-year-old. Yeah, you better be careful, mate. Andy again. Well, that's what Sean told me. Mice, must go and get some cheese and dodge some cats. Long live Zuma. Thank you for watching, Mice. Much appreciated. Thank you for finding the channel. Toby, that was possibly a misuse of the spanner, James. What did he do, James, to you? Did he kick you out? Oh, I won't give him a spanner then. Bye, yeah, everyone's saying goodbye. Thank you for watching, Mice. Much appreciated. Sean, Denver Bar was only helping out as an under-18 coach for a week. Yeah, but does that mean there's a possibility he might come back again? Or not? Nigel, good evening. Yeah, apparently Sean was hurling abuse at you. I'd go and look at the chat. Good evening, Cuddingtown Lem. Both you and Nigel are starting new jobs today. Wow. I wonder who's had the harder job. Nigel, I preferred the old. Mr. DDK, hi, still. Thanks for the. Hello, mate. I hope you're well. I hope you're well. I am going to get that Soufal thing back up again, mate. I promise you. It's just finding the space. The missus won't let me put it up anywhere. But I will get it back up soon. And thank you for joining again, mate. Much appreciated. Did we finish our podcast just to watch this rubbish? Apparently you did. Apparently you finished it early just to come and watch this rubbish. Right. Let's go into the Moyes eye a bit, shall we? Yeah, Nick's gonna love this bit.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Right. Before I start, this isn't having a go at David Moyes ish. Um, but he has come up with some very interesting comments over the past, well, well, for quite a lot of the season, really, and it kind of makes me worry about, where his head's at sometimes, because he says something and you kind of scratch your head and you wonder what he meant by it. Anyway, let's move on. Last week, David Moyes, he won the Manager of the Year award at the London Football Awards ceremony, second year in a row. In his speech, Moyes mentioned that he also won it last year, and shows that the consistency the West Ham have had, basically is demonstrating that there's been a lot of consistency by him winning it twice in a row. He went on to say that he's got a great group of players, and that's fine. We all believe that. He talked about the good spirit within the club and gave the players and his backroom staff credit for the way things have changed at the club. He also heaped praise on players like Mark Noble and, of course, superstar Declan Rice. And he praised Declan for the great strides he has made, that epitomises everything that Moyes is looking for in a player. That's all good. That's all fine. Love all that. Absolutely. Um, and then Moyes also stated that he believes West Ham can match Declan's ambition when the player himself stated that he urgently wanted to play in Champions League football. He said, we can match Declan's urgent desire. Can we? I don't know. Without investment in the squad, it looks like we have wasted a great opportunity to really fight for fourth place in the league. I'm not saying that if we bought players in, we would have definitely got fourth place. That's not what I'm saying in the January transfer window. But it might have given us a slightly better chance. Look, it's still a possibility, even with the squad we have. But with the teams around us catching up with their games in hand, the prospect of a top four finish doesn't look as strong as it did early season. Moyes has made a number of other statements over the past week that haven't really gone unnoticed, and most of them allude to the fact that our thin squad is stuttering because of lack of investment. Now, Sean's on, so he will know better than anyone else, I guess. My understanding is Moyes was given money. I've said this before. My understanding is Moyes was given money in the January transfer window, but Moyes didn't spend it. It's not so much that the board didn't give him money and support him. My understanding is that they did give him money and support him, but he didn't go out and spend it. So when he starts talking about, a thin squad, etc., who's that on? Surely it's because of him that we haven't got any players in. And he's gone on to say, don't you think we are trying, etc., etc. But we saw how the transfer window panned out. Yes, I'm dead sure that Moyes and his background and his scouting network did try, etc. But why did it sound like everything was done in a hurry right at the last minute and then nothing got over the line? Um, but then Moyes, I'll go back to the Southampton game. He called out Craig Dawson. I mentioned that when I did the brief review, about the foul that gave away the penalty. But Moyes doing that quite so publicly, I don't think was a very good thing to do. That's the sort of conversation that you might have behind closed doors. And he was critical of his team's lack of quality in the final third of the pitch. Look, as I mentioned in the brief review of the game earlier, Moyes talked about the fact that Southampton won because they made 5 subs. Well, guess what, mate? You can do the same thing. As I alluded to earlier on, he seemed to suggest that he didn't have any subs to use. He only had Ben Rama and he only had Vlasic available. Well, you've got the youngsters, like we talked about earlier on. So making that statement, like, oh well, they won because they made 5 subs. It's like, well, yeah, well, if you think if you need to change the game, then do the same thing. Do the same thing and bring other players on. Bring a youngster on, as we sort of said earlier on, and see what it might bring us. Anyway, I don't want to harp back to the transfer window. Well, I did. It's possible that Moyes, we know now that he wants certain types of players and so on and so forth, that are going to fit into the Moyes system of play. That's all very well, but not being able to find one and then bemoaning the fact that we've got a lack of depth in the squad and he didn't have anyone to put on the pitch against Southampton is a bit sort of, it's a bit not good. In his Liverpool pre-match press conference, he warned yet again that despite not knowing that we need a bigger squad, We can't always expect a player to sign. Fair enough. But surely with his squad, with his scouting network, surely he would have had players lined up. They would have had maybe 2 or 3 players that they were looking at. And if you don't get the first one early on in the transfer window, then you move on to the next one and the next target and the next target. I mean, did everyone turn us down? I mean, was it that difficult to get anyone? You know, Brighton, for example, they signed 2 players on the first day of the transfer window when that opened. I'm not suggesting we need to do it that quick, but surely he must have had a network, his scouting network must have identified targets early on. So again, talking about, we need a bigger squad, etc. Anyway, he continued saying that it takes a lot of thought to try and get the right player with the right character who fits what you want to do. But is this Moyes being overly cautious and picky rather than seeing a player at face value as to what a player can do? Are his scouts not doing their due diligence on players and identifying these players in prep for the transfer window? This has now happened in the last 2 transfer windows. Everything has been done, or no business has been done, right at in the dying stages of the window. Yet we look at other teams. I've mentioned Brighton, etc., and they they can quite easily buy players. He went on to say that he is trying to spend the money that West Ham supporters have put in the club as wisely as possible. Well, from a supporter, here's a message. Take a gamble once in a while. You never know. It might pay off. Go and spend that 30 million on a player or 20 million on a player or 15 million for Coletta Car and see what might come of it. He also suggested earlier in the week that he's unlikely to use the academy players. Now, we've already covered this, which heaps more pressure on a squad that's inevitably being thinned out as every game goes by. We've now lost Bowen, possibly. Declan had a virus, etc. So if he's not going to use the youngsters and we keep losing players to injuries, as was mentioned in the chat area earlier on, what are we going to do? After the game, he seemed to allude to the fact that if he had a top goal scorer, then perhaps, and he kind of stopped, he might have scored the chances, I guess he wanted to say, that Fornals and Lanzini had in the game. Then he went on to say top goal scorers might not work as hard as Antonio or other players in the squad. In all fairness, if a top goal scorer is banging in the goals, I don't care how bloody hard he works. So long as he's there, put the ball in the net, who gives a damn? But then that takes you to this gentleman. What did he really think of him? Well, clearly he didn't think he was as hardworking as Antonio. I don't know. Look, I've got my views. I've always made them clear as far as I'm concerned. If you've got a goal scorer that's a lazy bastard, but he's scoring 20 goals this season, I'll take that. I absolutely would. But you tell me what you think. Moyes then went on to say he's going to keep picking the same team. If it runs aground, it runs aground. He continued that he knows we have injuries, but the players are doing a brilliant job. So our squad is thin. He knows that. He didn't buy any players in the transfer window. He doesn't want players that can score goals because he'd rather have a grafter. Great. And if if we get more injuries and they're run into the ground, hey, so what? That's all right, isn't it? Look, I said a moment ago, and I'll say it again. I'm not trying to knock Moyes. He's done a brilliant job coming back from his second spell at the club. Got us out of relegation again the second time around. Top 6 last season. It looks like we will definitely finish in. I think we're still going to finish in the top 6 this season. A little bit harder. But I can't accept that Moyes keeps bemoaning the fact that because we're picking up injuries and the squad is already thin and that we're suffering, etc. He had the opportunity to do something about it in the January transfer window. The warning shots, I think, were fired well before the transfer window. When we lost Ogbonna for the rest of the season, when Antonio looked to shadow the player he was when he went away for the November internationals, and then we lost Kurt Zouma, and we thought we were going to lose him for the rest of the season. We had several warnings to get players in the January transfer window. Anyway, that's my moan fest over. I promise I won't do it again. Let's scroll and see what people are saying. You're all going to slag me off, I know, for having a go at Moyes. Let's go as far up as, why don't we go from here? Good evening to you, Aidan. Hope you're well. Good to see you striking out. Thank you very much. Can't can't watch now. I'm off to work. Well, I hope you have a good evening, and thank you for coming on and saying hello. Thanks for the vids. I'm always looking forward to the next one. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Hammerhead. Still saying what I was arguing with Toby about earlier. I don't know what you were arguing about, but you carry on arguing. Vinay, Noble is a unique player. Few teams have a player with his pass. What a great pass to Antonio later on in the game. Epic, I don't trust the Ditherer anymore. See, this is the thing. He's putting fans off him. I like this chat. Some OG in here, all very homely. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Pat. It's really good to see you. Let's scroll down. I've done Aiden. I'm not too fucked. Toby, I'm not too fussed about Deck's comments. It was a basic standard footballer answer. Yes, I know. But, the vultures are circling around and everyone's thinking that he's going to, he wants to go and so on. And people are going to look at the comments and they're going to go, he definitely wants to go in the summer. Well, Kieran, good day to you, mate. How are you? I hope you're well. Chris Nix, good evening to you. A few backups to help with fatigue. It's really needed. Exactly. That's what I know what Moyes has said. I want better. Get the better in summer. Get the fillers to give people a rest, etc. in January. Even a couple of loan signings. Toby, despite how some websites with terrible spelling reported it, what did they report? Oh, about Deck's comments. He doesn't write for them anymore, apparently. Pat, him calling out Dawson was done in an answer to a direct question. It was on West Ham TV, not as public as people might think. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, take that point. Toby, yeah, I didn't disagree. We missed opportunities, Hammerhead. I disagree that we haven't progressed, and I disagree with Moyes out. Don't start fighting on my first live show. Trini, I would not be surprised if many of our youngsters went elsewhere if they want to play as Moyes will not. But this is a weird one, isn't it? Because people talk about David Moyes and how he's brought the under-23s closer to training with the senior squad. They talk to them every day. All the coaches, the senior squad coaches, are talking to them. They know what they're all about, etc. Just give him a little chance. I know he bought. Name's gone. I know he brought one of them on against Liverpool, and that was great. That was really great to see. Dan Chester's, he brought him on with about 15 minutes to go. Yeah, I don't know. Did he feel that he had to, or why didn't he do that against Southampton? I think that would have been an even better time to give one or two youngsters a game. Even 10 minutes. Even 10 minutes. Pat, Kieran, mate, I'm good, thanks. What is living in the future like today? Because you're down under. Mark, Toby, I wouldn't bother. One says we haven't progressed. Most of us think we have. I think we have progressed. I think undoubtedly we have. I've just said that in my statement there. Finishing sixth last season. I think we're still going to finish sixth or within the top six this season. It'll be harder, but there is progression. There absolutely is progression. I won't deny that. Black Country, you must know your targets, not on the last day of training. This is what I think, Black Country. He must have known. Why? Why not go for them earlier? Why not really give a big push and get them in sooner rather than later? Vinay, bottom line, Moyes doing better than big spenders Everton, Leicester, Villa, and even Burnley. Absolutely. This is why I wanted to balance what I said. I don't want to just, diss him, and I'm not a Moyes out or anything like that. I think that as a coach, he's great. As a coach, he's great. As someone buying players and doing the transfer, let the scouting network. That's why I think maybe we need a director of football to work alongside him. But as was talked about, in with the guys from Claret and Booze, etc. If he's got to trust these scouts, my understanding is that during the January transfer window, despite knowing players he wanted, giving details about players, he wanted to go and see them himself. Why? Why do that? Trust what your scouts are telling you. Otherwise you've got to do all the work yourself. And why do that? Happy Hammerette, Bromance, Tobes and the Hammerhead sitting in the tree. They're all right. We all have a differences of opinion. That's the important thing, is that we still get on. Anil, Moyes is a bargain hunter who is getting Who is getting relegated this year? Possibly Everton, Leeds, maybe could get some decent players to buy. Good point. Absolutely, yeah, agree. Toby, don't be jealous of what me and Mark have, Ahmed. Come on, be nice. Let's scroll down a bit more. 27 degrees, Kieran. I'll be in Seville on Wednesday, and apparently it's 22 degrees. I can't wait. It's fucking freezing here. Absolutely freezing. Hammerette, Moyes has done really well. Could have done better, to be fair, in the window. Well, yeah. Anything in this window, but nothing can be done now. Just have to muscle through. We do. Black Country, do you think we really had 100 million in January? Come on. No, I don't think we did, but I think there was money available. I think there was definitely money available. Hornswasler, how are you, mate? Evening to you. I hope you're well. What happened? No, it's still there. It's still there. Andy, the big four all played without strikers in the first 11 of the weekend. Does that tell us something about the future of the game? Look, I don't care if we don't buy a striker, but at least bring someone, an alternative. What he was waiting for, we all know. He was waiting for Lingard. He was waiting for Lingard to sign. And when it got too late and Man United said absolutely no, that's when we started looking and offering money for other players. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Apache, I'm not expecting much from the next two transfer windows to the 3-2. See, this is it, Apache. See, everyone is blamed. Look, I'm not a board lover. Don't misunderstand me. But everyone blames the board for it. Everyone says it's the board's fault. If the board have backed him, but he decided not to spend the money, then it's not the board's fault, is it, really? Hammerette, Apache, we have to recruit in the summer. We won't even be able to play with less than 25 players. I'm sure we'll get some decent players and a couple of loans. We need at least 6 players in the summer. I don't think Moyes will get 6 players, to be quite honest with you. But let's see. Anil, still fighting on 2 fronts. Top 6 is possible. Europa is a toughest draw, but I'm still hopeful of getting through. I am too. I'm with you on that, Anil. Mark, Apache, we will sign players. Lots of Deadwood leaving. Think people will be very happily surprised this summer. Likewise. James, someone has taken their meds again. Stop fighting, people. Garino, quite a few foreign players based in Russia may have their contracts torn up. Really good point as well. Yeah, absolutely. Andy, Chester's came on in the 92nd minute. Hang on a minute. He did, didn't he? Why did I think he came on in the 75th? He had to wait as well. Fucking hell. See, my memory. Thank you, Andy. There you go. That actually proves my point. Oh dear, Hammerette. Liverpool made me realise we do still have the fight and desire in us to give our all. Just one of them sitters would have changed the game. Absolutely. We should have won. We should have beaten them. Victor. Moyes is stubborn, but will do the job his way. If he gets sacked, he will get sacked doing the job his way. He won't be swayed by what fans or anyone thinks. He absolutely won't. That's very true. John, has anyone ever seen Stella Lanzini in the same room? If only I had half, even 10% of his talent, mate, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this. Who is the new person? Who is this new person? We will finish 7th at best. Good evening, Peter. How are you? Top 6, I reckon. English Yardie. Still, to be honest, Moyes Dithering Dave name fits him. Board and Moyes are forcing Declan to leave. To me, it's pathetic, making no sense. You build around him, but why give him to the greedy 6? He may not even go to the greedy 6. He may go to a greedy team. It may not be in this country. Hammerette, Chester's was a pointless sub in my opinion. Shame as we would have been better to even have had 5 minutes of him on the pitch. Sorry, why did I say 75th minute? What was I watching the other day? Let's scroll down. Peter, more likely we had 100 million Sherbet pips than pounds. Mark, Apache, Board and Moyes have no choice. I think there will be 4 to 5 frees, 2 quality signings and a couple of promoted youth. Right, I agree with that. I think quite possibly we could sign up to 3 free agents. Maybe Johnston, depending on what happens with Areola. I think he's still going for Lingard. And maybe Tarkowski, but Tarkowski got ripped apart at the weekend, didn't he? Maybe. And it would be nice to get a couple of youngsters through. And I'm going to talk about one in a minute coming through the ranks. And then, buy another 2 or 3 players. Great. 2 or 3 freebies, 2 or 3 new signings, 1 or 2 youngsters. That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. Robert, what do you think about the FIFA 1-month window to sign players from Russia and Ukraine? Anyone spring to mind? I didn't know that. You've sprung that on me. I didn't know that. I didn't read that. So but it depends on what happens. I know there is talk about that contracts can be torn up if any players are playing for Russian teams. I don't know. I don't know the legalities of it. 1 month free window, 1 month window to sign players. I don't think that would be fair, to be honest with you. I'd rather, leave the transfer window as it is. But I guess, if players want to leave, where are they going to go? Well, I don't know. If we get anyone, we might not get anyone. Mark, the board of the 6 highest spenders in the Premier League since they took over. It's Moyes not wanting to buy squad fillers and only players that will improve the team. And I don't have a problem with that. You corrected, 9th highest. That proves that they spend money. I've always said they don't spend money wisely. That's the thing. They do spend money. They just don't spend it in the right way. Squad fillers, I understand that, but maybe for what we had at the moment, our situation at the moment, 1 or 2 squad fillers might not have been a bad thing. Might not have been a bad thing. Just to bolster our squad up. Even if they were on loan for 6 months, that's all. Garino, still don't get the idea that Moyes does the negotiating. That ultimately lies with the board. Personally, I think it's a combo of Moyes and the board who were to blame for the lack of transfers. That could be right. That could be right. Peter, these free transfers we're supposedly looking at will be looked at by better teams than us. Well, that's a good point as well. That's a good point as well. John, it's the hope that kills you, but without it, you have nothing. And that we do, we all, that's what West Ham fans are. We're made of, we live on hope. English Yardy, the summer scares me. Dithering Dave at the helm. Still, when is that deal with the stadium up? Something about taxes, I think. Then they can sell 2023. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I read that story. Would love to get Kamara. I would love to get Kamara at West Ham. Fantastic little player. Great replacement for Declan. Did I say that out loud? Andy, to be honest, I would rather Sullivan did the summer window than Moyes. Can't believe I'm thinking that. Something needs to happen, doesn't it? Absolutely. Ruruni tensions. Good evening to you. Are any Russian teams still in Europa League? Yes, they've been kicked out. Spartak Moscow. No. Moscow, one of them. No, it is Spartak Moscow. Any effect on the rest of the tournament? Well, I talked about that last week, but I don't know what UEFA have decided because I think they were going to play. I don't remember, but the team that they're going to play, are they getting a bye? They're getting through to the next round because Spartak Moscow has been kicked out. Peter, breaking news. What's his name from Southampton broke down during part 342 of his medical. Hammerettes, did you see that clubs are asking to? Yes, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Jonathan, the real shame is that the way Moyes is so unpredictable or so predictable that it's deflating when we see our potential and nothing happens. Yeah, Moyes is so unpredictable. So he's predictable in some ways, isn't he? Where I kind of like as the transfer window was going on, I was thinking, we're not signing anyone. We're not signing anyone. I'll hold on to that hope, and that was almost the unpredictable predictability of Moyes. I couldn't believe that we didn't sign anyone. Andy, it would just be our bad luck that Kral can't go back to Spartak Moscow. We don't need to sign him though. Apparently, there's a team in France that are looking at him. Yeah, Spartak Moscow were kicked out, but we have to concentrate on. Yeah, we've got to concentrate on our game. Garino, knowing West Ham, we would fail to get any free transfers over the line as they couldn't fly over in time from Russia. Peter, the thing is with what is going on in the world at the moment, I won't be so disappointed if it all goes tits up. It's only football at the end of the day. Good point. Sobering thought, Peter. Absolutely. It's a really, really good point. Garino, Leipzig got to buy. In my opinion, they should pick. Well, I said that maybe the team that came second in the squad, the league that Spartak Moscow were in, should have had another go. English Yardy, have you heard a little chattering about the Super League? The situation is far from dead. Well, if you've heard about what they're doing to the Champions League, the way they're changing it, it's Super League through the back door, to be quite honest with you. Right, let's move on to the next part of our show. Christ, I thought there'll be less chat. It's bloody worse than it was before. But thank you, much appreciated. Why have I not loaded? Yeah, where is that? Give me a minute. I've got to load something up. There you go. Rubbish. Um, did I load that? Loan watch, player watch. No, that's not it. You need to chat. I tell you, you need to chat amongst yourselves because I've got to load something up. So it won't take me long though. I wonder if I even did it actually. That no. It looks like I didn't load it up. Yeah, I didn't load it up. So never mind. I'll talk it through anyway. So the next part is about players, and the first one up is our loan players, and Connor Coventry. He's doing really well on loan. He's had another fine performance at the weekend. He was in the starting lineup for the MK Dons again. Played the whole 90 minutes. And they won their game, beating league leaders Rotherham 2-1 away from home. It was even more a rewarding win as the Dons actually went a man down on the 24th minute when Dan Harvey was shown a red card, which led to Rotherham getting a penalty and going 1-0 up. But the Dons rallied round to win 2-1. So I think it's fantastic kind of commentary. We've just been talking about, improving our squad for next season. And here's one player that's really taking his opportunity out on loan. Now, you could all argue it's only League One, etc., etc. Can he do it in the Premier League? Funnily, I've been bigging up Connor Coventry for the last 2 seasons because in this pre-season and the pre-season before that, I thought he looked really good. And I kept saying, it's quite likely that this player is going to break through. And it just hasn't quite happened. I hope his loan spell out at NK Dons and him doing so well will be the point where he does break into the first team in the new season. Who else has been out on loan? Odebeko, Mipa Odebeko. He was part of the Doncaster Rovers team that lost 4-0 at the weekend, so he can help them to overcome that. Nathan Holland was a 78-minute sub for Oxford United's 4-1 win over Burton Albion. Joseph Anang, he kept another clean sheet for St Patrick's Athletic when they beat league rivals Shamrock Rovers at the weekend, and they've now gone second in their league. And Nathan Trott was an unused sub for Nancy FC in the French League 2. Other player news: Andrei Yarmolenko. Now, look, we've got to say things are bad, aren't they? In the Ukraine, things have gotten worse. Yarmolenko, we know he flew out to Poland earlier last week in order to rescue his wife and child. Imagine having to do that. Who managed to escape from the Ukraine. He's still got other friends and family in Ukraine. And although he's back training with the team, he can't possibly be in the right frame of mind to play football. I don't think he'll be selected on Thursday. It's highly, highly unlikely. Talking about the Russian conflict or the Ukraine conflict, sorry, I should say, is whether we're going to pay the next transfer fee instalment on the Vlasic deal. Now, we all know Vlasic was bought for something like 27 odd million pounds. Now, I don't know what the how the deal was structured, but I would guess it would probably, the fee would have been paid over maybe 3 or 4 installments. So because of sanctions to Russian football clubs, West Ham might be saving themselves anything like £7 to £9 million over in transfer fees. Now, you've all mentioned him earlier. Despite David Moyes recently suggesting that he's unlikely to use any academy players for the rest of the season, we saw a glimpse of Dan Chesters, as you all know, against Liverpool, which was fantastic. He made his Premier League debut. However, news came out last week that West Ham had turned down a number of requests to take another youngster on loan during the window. Apparently, clubs from the Championship, League One, and also the Scottish Premier League inquired whether Okoflex was available on loan. West Ham turned down all the offers. So does that mean then that David Moyes and the coaching staff think that there's something in Okoflex that maybe they can use him in some way? He's not available for Europe. He's not eligible to play in the Europa League, but maybe for the Premier League. I mean, we're out of both domestic cups now. He's not eligible for Europa League. So with Bowen out as well, might we finally start seeing Armstrong Okoflex do more than just warming up the bench for West Ham? Vladimir Sufal, said this last week again. He's out for another 5 or 6 weeks after his successful groin operation. So he's obviously going to miss the game, the Europa League game, probably both rounds against Seville. He's not likely to make the Villa game, the Spurs game, or the Brentford game, and he could be back around about the 16th of April for the Burnley game. Declan. Now we all know that he's dreaming of going back to Chelsea. No, will the dream? Sorry, will the dream of Chelsea returning to Chelsea still be on now that Abramovich is planning to sell the club, or might the new owner, whoever that is, be more determined to bring someone like Declan Rice in? I guess we'll only know when that sale goes through. But either way, whatever happens at Chelsea, it isn't going to stop the relentless desire for journalists to keep banging the drum about when Declan will leave West Ham United. Why are they so hell bent on it? Why? Moyes said we believe we can match Declan's dreams of playing Champions League, etc. Might not happen this season, but maybe it could happen next season. Look. Will we ever win anything with Declan Rice or not? I don't know. When he picked up his award, I mentioned earlier, the Player of the Year award at the London Football Awards, Declan heaped praise on David Moyes, insisting that he wouldn't be anywhere near where he is now if it wasn't for Moyes himself. Declan went on to say that the confidence and belief Moyes has in him allows him to go out and put in the performances that he does. How many other managers at these so-called big clubs that apparently want Declan Rice can have the same effect on him? For me, in all honesty, not that I wish it, but in all honesty, there's possibly only one manager from these greedy six that might be anywhere near what Moyes can do for Declan, and that's Pep Guardiola at Man City. Don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating that Declan Rice should go to Man City. I'm just thinking, all these clubs that, Tuchel apparently isn't very well liked at Chelsea. And then we've got other managers at Liverpool who keep saying how good our players are. Funny how he hasn't said anything about Declan, but keeps going on about Bowen. Maybe he can do something with Declan, but I don't think Declan will want to go there. I think if there's probably only 2 or 3 clubs that Declan might go to. One of them could be Man City. One of them could be Chelsea because there's affinity to it, and one of them could be a Spanish club abroad. Look. What else we got? But in regards to Declan and his illness, we believe we understand that he's going to be roughly 50-50 that he might be available because he's got the virus. He didn't have a lot of energy on Friday and Saturday. If he is back in training, how fit will he be? Having been off for a couple of days, he should be okay, but it's 50-50. Jarrod Bowen, same concern lies with him. It's great that the club released a statement pretty early, which was unusual for them, saying that there's no significant injury with Jarrod Bowen after the game against Liverpool. Apparently, head of medical Richard Collins said Jarrod underwent an MRI scan in London on Sunday morning. Thankfully, no significant injury has occurred. He will continue to be monitored by the medical team and will undergo further examination in the coming days. Look, the fact that Jarrod Bowen has to be continually monitored means he will definitely miss the Seville game. I'll be very, very surprised, but very, very pleased if he does make it. Those 2 players, if they're both out, David Moyes has got quite a lot of decisions to make as to who he wants to pick against Seville on Thursday. And let's do that as the final part of the show. Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's go to see what comments we have. Let's go from here. Good evening to you, Mark. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Peter, most of the players who sit on the bench might as well work around the ground as they have no chance of getting on the pitch. Oh, it's such a shame. Good evening, Scott. Thank you for finding us, mate. I hope you're well. Nigel, Ulster was more organised. I am a bit all over the. I won't lie. I am a little bit all over the place at the moment, to be quite honest with you. It's weird because it's the same platform, etc., same system and so on. But I don't know. Anyway, Jason, new show, same old stuff. I know. Hornswosler, was I ever organised then? Hornswosler, Super League, let them have it and good riddance. Yeah, well, Champions League in a different name, mate. steak tonight, mate. Where do you cook? Is it a restaurant or something? We should come and invade. Sean, good evening to you. Oops, good evening to you, Sean. Mr. Bean train ride. Why is Stuart in the house? Peter, most of the players who sit on the bench might. Oh, we have done that one. Sorry. Let's scroll down. Jason, have to admit, I've been lurking tonight. Have you, mate? Well, where have you been lurking then? Hornswosler. A new show. I just thought Stel was trying to hide from us, but we found him, unfortunately. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Peter, Odebeco and Holland will not return. Holland won't because he's in his last few months of his contract. Odebeco, I think, will. To be quite honest with you, Odebeco will. Alese miles ahead of them. I agree, he is. I think Alese will break through. Alese, Coventry, Okoflex, and Chester's. Those are the four that we're probably looking at. If we manage to get one or two out of those four, I think that would be great. I think Alese is the fourth central defender, to be honest with you. Mark, Okoflex looks too immature, greedy and bad decisions, but they watch him every day. He is greedy. You've probably been watching the under-23s as well. He does have that bit of selfishness about him, but he is a good player. He's a skillful player. Maybe that's something that they can make him change in terms of the greediness and bad decisions. But he scored a dozen goals this season, which ain't bad, to be honest with you. Peter Kretinsky has loads of money in Russia. Well, I did it when I did the show last week. I talked about Kretinsky. He does have a lot of money, but people say that he will be affected by what's going on, but not to the point where he's going to become desperately poor. God no. Hornswosler, if thin eyes offend thee, if thinny eyes pluck them out. Didn't understand that. Andy. Oh dear, Sullivan going to support Ukraine by not paying a Russian team. He's all. Peter, Okoflex contract runs out in 2023. It does indeed. And Odebeco's is also something like 2023 as well. Yeah, and he's made a statement, hasn't he? He's made a statement that he's going to stick with the Republic of Ireland, even though he's got an opportunity to play for either Nigeria or England, and he's going to stay. Let's scroll down. Trini, we shouldn't be having to look for reasons why Moyes does not play the youth. He just should. Otherwise, he is flawed as a manager, in my opinion. He should. He's had opportunities, and like people said earlier on, maybe he's going to end up having no choice. To be honest with you, Hornswosler, Sullivan will let Rice go in 2023 when he flogs the club. Will he flog the club though? I don't know. Jason, I reckon Rice will go to Madrid. We might get some decent players in exchange. I didn't say Madrid. You said it first. Rice statement, he doesn't want to leave London. Well, what a player says and what a player does are two very different things. Will we ever win anything with Moyes apart from the Betway Cup? Yes, I believe we will. And we will win the Europa League on the day of my birthday. I keep saying it. We will. Rice will end up at Man U. And I don't actually think he will. He'll look at it and go, how much better are they to West Ham? Happy Amaret, have faith, Peter. Moyes has said we are not ready yet, and still we are up there in the Europa League. Yeah, I think we will win something this year. James, excellent entertainment to go with my confit of duck with stuffed portobello mushrooms. Thanks, Doc. Posh git. Ashley, why would Deck go to a struggling Man U? Exactly. That's exactly what I think. Mark, Kretinsky, buying the club is not a given. He has an option to buy. GSB have to make West Ham as attractive as possible to a buyer. Yeah, I think I said it when Kretinsky first came to us that I don't think this guy is looking to buy us out. You're absolutely right. There's an option to buy, but not necessarily that he will buy. Long Dart, the freedom's gone to my head. Yardy, my situation with Declan is he's playing every week. Certain greedy six teams, he might not play every week, week in, week out. Look at Grealish at City. Exactly that. That is bang on the money. He will look at that and he'll ask himself, look, let's get it and give it another year with West Ham. Let's see where it goes. Or, as you've just said, go to one of these greedy six and then play every other game. He won't want that. Peter, Robot has taken over his channel. Hammerette, still I love the channel. Well, thank you, Hammerette. Much appreciated. Good evening, Dabs. Krul is literally our fourth choice midfielder because Moyes would select Lanzini, Fornals, Noble, then Krul. He absolutely would. You're right. Krah won't stay. That's for sure. Hornswosler. Maybe Moyes isn't buying players as he means to bring in a few of the youngsters in summer instead. Then try them out and see what they're like. It's the only way to know if they're going to be any good. Dabs, unpopular opinion. Johnson offers very little to the team. Very unpopular opinion. It doesn't take players on. He's not great at defending. He's not great at crossing. He's not a wing back, which is why he's not great at defending, at crossing, and not great at going forward, taking players on. I think he's a very, very decent defender though, and he's young and he'll get better. Mark, Freshfielder, I've only watched a handful of under 23 games. People know a lot more than the limited games I've seen. You are right, Mark. He is greedy. He is quite a selfish player, Okoflex. There's no two ways about it. But I think he's a decent player. Under 18s, Peter, yep, they're ripping up their league. Absolutely. Hammerhead, come on, still, we're not winning anything this year. Have faith, Hammerhead. Have faith. God, you never know. You never know. Robert, great ball from Johnson for now's chance. Great ball from, that was a good ball. That actually was a good ball. Just as good. Well, Noble's ball to Antonio was probably better. Dabs, Hammerett, I like him too, but every time he gets the ball, he makes these awful long balls back to the opposition. I think we've had a few players that haven't been very good on the ball over the last, but the last couple of games I think have been good. Anyway, Johnson's a local lad, come good. Bit like Noble, lots to come from this lad who is still learning his trade. Agreed. Hammerett, agreed, but he needs to play far more regularly. He had a great couple of months, absolutely. Hornswosler, if the board wanted to win Europa, they would have spent. Enough said. I said this earlier though. Is it the board or was it Moyes? Because I think it was actually Moyes, to be honest with you. Diop has also picked up form. He absolutely has. He's had a cracking couple of games lately. Trini Johnson is our second best right back and still learning. He is, after all, a defender first, and he does that well. I absolutely agree. Dabs, I'm pretty sure when we played Southampton that Diop made the most tackles and interceptions than any other West Ham player. See, he's a decent defender. He just needed a bit of confidence. Let's go into the last part of the show. So I've already mentioned most of this anyway. Seville. Last week I did a brief history of Seville, mentioned how they hold the record for winning the Europa League 3 times on the trot. They hold the record for winning it 6 times, more than any other team. Twice when it was the old UEFA Cup and 4 times as the Europa League. I also highlighted some of the special talent they have in their squad. Ivan Rakitic, Youssef von Nesri, Lucas Ocampos, Eric Lamela, if you call him special, Raf Mir, Paul Gomez and Anthony Martial. All these players have goals in them, and it's going to take some effort to beat this team to get through into the next round. It is a tough draw, absolutely a tough draw. Excuse me. Sevilla, as I mentioned a little earlier on, they played Alaves, who are relegation threatened at the weekend, and they only managed to muster a 0-0 draw with them. The lineup included Nesri, Ocampos, and Rakitic. They had 66% possession of the ball, 9 shots, which only 2 were on target. Does that mean that Coach Lopetegui has kept the likes of Lamela, Mir, and Martial fresh for the Thursday game against us? Well, as you saw in the highlights, Martial is apparently injured. But does that mean anything, to be honest with you? I know he loves scoring against West Ham, as most strikers do. But the coach has got a plethora of talent to choose from, even if Martial is out. And Nesri on Ocampos was subbed during the game at the weekend, so perhaps they were kept fresh for the game on Thursday. Look, for us, it's much the same thing. We know we possibly got Declan. He's 50-50. I really don't think Bowen is going to make it. But, we've got some solid players, and we've shown over the last two games, and certainly against Liverpool, that we've still got a lot in us. And this is my thinking about the starting lineup. This is who could be playing. I think he'll stick with Areola. If he's true to his word, he'll keep Areola in goal as the cup goalie. I think, Johnson will start on the right, Dawson, Zuma, and Creswell at the back. If Declan is not available, I think he'll start with Noble alongside Soucek. I really do. And then up front, I think he'll stick with Vlasic, Lanzini, and Fornals, and Antonio up front. Not bad players. Vlasic has started to come into his own a little bit. Hammerett just mentioned that Diop on the bench, if he's on the bench, has come good lately. Benrahma, people still criticise him. I think he's still got something in his locker. You never know at the week on Thursday if he plays. And then look at the players if they're all out. Bonner, we know he's out. Soufal, I've mentioned, is out. I think Bonner will. Bowen will be out, and Declan might also be missing as well. So that means that on top of the players there, Masuaku, Fredericks, Diop, Kral on the bench, etc. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That still leaves two places for two other subs. So you might see a couple of the youngsters on the bench as well on Thursday. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm guessing. I think Declan 50-50. I really hope he starts. I really do think Bowen will be out, and I think Vlasic will replace Bowen. And you push Lanzini further forward. Even he has got a bit of a struggle. Apparently, he's had a bit of a problem on and off with I think it's his Achilles heel. But he should be available. He should be okay to play against Seville on Thursday. What do you think? Let's go into the final part of the chat and see what you guys think, and then we'll bid you farewell for tonight. Let's go to how far up should we go? Done that one. If the board, yeah, done that one. Dabs. I'm pretty sure when we played Southampton that Diop. Yeah, I've done that one. Yes, I agree with you. Hammer, he's one of our own. Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson is young. He'll get better. Dawson is much older than Johnson. I've never seen him connect with a long pass with anyone except the crowd. You are right. Dawson's long range passing is not very good. English Yardy, what's the starting team? Well, there you go. I just did it. And about Glenn Johnson, let him play his young. He's young. He needs matches, and he'll be fine. I agree. What do you think of that lineup? I'll put it back on in a minute for you. Mark, it's Moyes that doesn't spend. The figure shows that the board is spending back managers. I agree. Paul, Johnson was great against Liverpool. Benrahma worries me. Yeah, I think I've got Benrahma on the bench for Thursday. Peter, would anyone take Roberto Mancini if Moyes left? Short-termism. You see, this is the problem, and this is our, what we should learn from the Pellegrini time. Mancini won't stay with West Ham for 3, 4, or 5 years, whereas Moyes will, and Moyes will get us consistently good, and he will take, like I said, time and time again. I think that if Moyes continues to keep us in the top 6, in the top half of the league, top 6, for 2 or 3 seasons, I think to me that's progress. It means that we're not looking over our shoulders, fighting relegation. Hammerett, Sevilla are not going to know what's hit them. Absolutely, James. This is good grit, is it, mate? Dabs. Apparently, Jota should have been sent off when we played. Yeah, I didn't see it. It was one of those where you kind of missed it, and you don't see any of it in the highlights. Was that when he did Suchits? No. Who did he do? Can't remember. Mark, if Moyes leaves, staff leave, players leave, why risk where we're at? The harmony at the club and stability. Yeah, I agree with that. Dabs, Stel, predict your own lineup. That one. So I'll go back to it in a minute, and then you can tell me what you think if you're not already doing so. Peter, Moss' performance was worst ever. I've seen him worse. I've seen him even worse than that. English Yardy. Get that up. It's a winnable draw. Can't be scared. If anything, we should fear Antonio. He's going to be fired up. if anything, they should fear Antonio. Dabs, have you spoken about Lanzini for the? No, I haven't. Manuel Lanzini, Hammeret's favourite player, has been scored. He returns to the Argentinian team, and rightly so, because he's gotten like the old Lanzini, hasn't he? That we kind of first met in first season with West Ham. Fantastic display against Liverpool at the weekend. I think he was great. He was our best player, without a doubt. And absolutely fantastic that he's bad in the Argentinian squad. Please come back fit. Please come back fit. Um, Trini, we will miss Bowen more than Dex, in my opinion. I'm inclined to agree. I think you're absolutely right there. Hammerette, out of 13 games against Martial, he has won 7. Hope he is injured. He is. They reckon he's still limping. I don't think he'll be playing. But then it's not as if they haven't got any other strikers to call on. Horns Osler. Moyes will say Rice is 50-50 right until the last minute, then play him. I hope so. I actually hope Declan will play. I hope Bowen will play as well. Peter, if Rice isn't fit, Noble will start. Put that in my lineup. Long Dark, we got Soucek going forward if Noble plays. Yes. Yeah, so it might work. Mandy, you've only just joined. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, Mandy. Thank you for finding me. Mark, got a good feeling about the Seville game, but I did say that about Southampton. So did I. But I actually do have a good feeling, especially after the performance we put in against Liverpool. Hammer, even if we lose 1-0, as long as we're still in it for the second leg. And in a roundabout sort of way, I can't remember who said it. Someone said that if we lose 1-0, it means that we got to go for it in the second leg. Might not be a bad thing for us. Trini Vlasic needs to be given the opportunity to play as a real number 10. I agree. He has said he's better in the middle, so why not do that? Hornswassler, Benrahma infuriates me. Could be great, but yeah, I've got a feeling Benrahma won't be with us next season. I think he actually might be sold in the summer. Mandy, I think Moyes will be happy with the 0-0. Park the bus on Thursday. 0-0, yeah. And I'm glad we don't have this away goals nonsense anymore. So yeah, I take that. Ashley, just check now. Seville have eight players out. I wish I knew who they were, but that's good timing, isn't it? But then you go back to the Southampton game where they put 9 players who don't regularly start, and look what happened there. Mark, sell Benrahma, get a real left winger in. Peter would start Fab instead of Areola. I wouldn't. I think that would be unfair on Areola, to be quite honest with you. I think he's stuck with Areola in the cup competitions. I think he's stuck with Areola in the Europa League. I think it would only be right to stick with Areola for this game as well. Just because we're getting further into the competition doesn't mean you start messing around with, like that commitment to Areola. Areola's a good goalie. And to be quite honest with you, what I said earlier, if you blame Areola for the first Southampton goal, you've got to blame Fabianski for the Liverpool goal. I don't know what their goalie's like, to be quite honest with you, but we ain't got any strikers, so it won't matter. Pat, a draw away from home and then a win in the second leg. I think, people. James, I have to say that I was so damn proud of our boys at Anfield. Such a good performance, something that just didn't happen in the past. Absolutely. This is why I think our season is not dead. Hammerette, judging by the way we're shooting, I hope he's... Mandy, he's only got 2 arms. Oh, damn. Only 2. English Yardy, how about Diop for Noble? Just saying a little bit more defence than Nobes. Yeah, but do you want to make that change, that risk in such an important game? Noble, look, Noble had a great game when he came on against Liverpool. But we all know Noble's good when he comes on and can influence the game, when there's something like half an hour to go, etc. I'd be slightly worried if Noble started, but would I change him for Diop? It's a good shout, but I don't know. I don't know. Hornswassler, 6, we'd be lucky to make 7. You know what? At the worst case scenario as it stands, if the teams below us win their games in hand, yes, we will drop down to 7. But that still means we're in with a fighting chance to finish in the top 6. Peter, Sal Benrahma and Summers, he isn't a team player. I think you're all thinking what I'm thinking. Ian, if we beat Seville, it will give us a great boost in our final stretch of league games. Absolutely. Black Country, good night, mate. Thank you so much for finding me and for coming on. Oh, I've got to say, please, like, subscribe if you like the channel and all that sort of stuff. Please please do subscribe. You can't get rid of me that easily. Hammer, I'd like him to be given next season. Who is that? Would it be Sel Benrahma? I don't mind him staying, but I think he might be sold. Lanzini, I know he's your favourite. I know. Mandy, big up Lano. Yeah, absolutely. Good night, BCH. Yeah. Wish you well, mate. I know, Pete. I know. Sorry, not Pete, Pat. I know she loves him. She does love him. Um, Peter, is Antonio going off with Jamaica even though they can't qualify? Well, I talked about that in my show last week. The club are trying to persuade him not to, but they can't stop him. So I don't think he's decided yet. But I know the squads are being announced imminently, so he's got to make his mind up. Kieran, Lanzini was superb against Liverpool. Need to keep him in that position. Absolute quality. I totally agree. He was fantastic. And some of Ben Rama's best games were in the Europa League, but he's Benny on the bench at the moment. Yeah, that's a good point. Some players, said players like Vlasic and players like Ben Rama, Europa League might suit them a bit more. Pat Moyes, Benny was not a Moyes signing. I know that was the last of the gifts that Moyes got from the board. Hammerette, Trini, yes, agreed. Vlasic needs to be played where he's strongest. Why aren't we doing that? Don't know. Let's scroll down. Paul, Declan will not want to miss this one. I don't think he will. I don't think he will. WHU, where did you sneak in? Oh, I seen you earlier. Forgive me if I hadn't. Victor, we can sign players from Russia or Ukraine now on contracts till the 30th, till June the 30th. That's come from FIFA. Really? We can sign players from Russia or Ukraine now on contracts till the 30th. Who knows? Maybe Moyes might find someone that'd be really useful for us. Paul, he would do. What can to be? Paul agreed he would do what he can to be there. Oh, Declan, you mean? Yeah. Trini, in recent history, Seville have been very strong in this competition. Yeah, they won it 6 times. We have to raise our game no matter who they are missing. Absolutely. Hornswassler. Areola needs to come off his line faster. I would say the same for Fabianski. Big but not commanding enough. I, I, I actually disagree. I think he's more commanding than Fabianski in the box. Mandy, 8 players out there. Maybe we should go for it at their place. Yeah, why not? Andy, great video. Must be time to wrap up soon. I need to get some sleep listening to Nigel on more than just a podcast. I'm finishing off now, mate. I'm finishing off now. Dabs, did you see that the long shot from Noble and it went in? But I think the foul, it wasn't given. Well, clearly it wasn't given. Saints made 9 change. Yeah, I know. Did say that. Predictions for okay. Let's do predictions for Seville. I'm gonna go for a tight 1-0 win to West Ham. Mark reckons it's going to be 2-1. Andy also reckons it's going to be 2-1. Hammerette thinks it's going to be 1-1 then 3-0 at home. Mandy, even if Bowen is not on form, he provides a key outlet when we're under pressure. Who would you play there still? Let me put what I think might be the lineup if Bowen and Declan are not available. I think Areola will start in goal. I think it'll be the back 4 of Johnson, Dawson, Zuma, and Creswell. If Declan is not available, I think Noble will start alongside Souček. If Declan is, then obviously Declan will play instead of Noble. And then I think our front line will be Antonio up front, Fornals, Lanzini, and Vlasic. And I agree, I would like to see Vlasic in the middle, but then Lanzini's not good out on the wings. So it'll probably be the lineup as you see there, if Bowen and if Declan are not available. Let's get rid of that. Finish off with your chat. English Yardy, the format for Champions League is that it's changing next year or staying the same. Aren't they adding more teams? They are. It's, as I said earlier, it's become almost the Super League through the back door, And also this system, this ranking system where you might finish 8th in the league, but because you played in the Champions League 50 times before, you'll qualify over a team that finishes 4th. How shit is that? Anyway. Let's scroll down. Coming to the end. Mandy, Vlasic looked much better left side against Liverpool. Good shout. Good shout. Peter, Seville, 2-0 to Seville. Oh. Ashley, 1-1. 0-0. Hornswassler. Howard, 4-0. 1 what? 1-0 to West Ham. English Yardie, I think I said it. 1-1 away, 2-0 home. Yeah. Oh, here it is. The rest of the statement: 2-1, which will force Moyes to be brave in the return leg, and will win the return leg 2-0. I would actually worry if we took a lead into the home game. I get your point. Yeah. WHO 2-2 away and 2-1 win at home. You're all suggesting we're going to win, which is great. Oh my God, it'll be so nerve-wracking Thursday. I'm going with a few friends, going to meet a few friends out there, and it's going to be great. It's 22 degrees out in Seville, if nothing else. But you know what? It's going to be a great day. Great 3 days. I did try to get the missus to come out as well. I said, but she's working. Long dark, a bruised heel can be okay in a few days. I reckon Bowen will play that's all it is. If that's what I hope he does. James, happy with the lineup. Thank you. Victor, with Bowen missing, could you see Moyes moving Antonio out wide and playing Vlasic up front? That's a possibility. The good thing is they could rotate, couldn't they? Like we were doing early part of the season. Mark, 1-0. Mandy, a sneaky 0-0. Apache, 0-0, both away and at home. Massel. And on that, thank you all very much for joining me. I did get muddled up. I won't lie. But look, people, I really do appreciate it. So many familiar faces here, which is absolutely fantastic, and I really thank you for that as well. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. There's a button if you're watching it. Obviously, you're watching it on YouTube, so just click the subscribe button. For those of you who might watch it later, or anyone that's new, that's the link. Subscribe to the West Ham Voice. Like I said, I will. Let me leave that on. Actually, like I said, I'll be doing West Ham Weekly every Monday, and I'll only do like 2 or 3 shows throughout the week. You know, picking particular subject matters and talking about those, either at lunchtime or early evening. But I'm not gonna. I don't want to saturate the channel. It'll only be 3 shows, 4 shows at the very most. Of course, in the transfer window that'll be different because there'll be transfer stories all the time. So God, but that's way away. So do join me again next week. I won't be able to do a show the rest of this week because I'll be in Seville. I'll be in Seville from Wednesday, and I'm leaving at something like 4 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning, and I won't be back till very late on Friday. So there won't be any shows this week on the channel. But thank you, honestly and truly, thank you. Really much appreciated. There's 14 comments before. Good grief! All right, let's just do the last lot of comments and then I'll go. I know, Peter. That's what I'm worried about, to be honest with you. I am a little bit worried about that. Andy, Rice plays even if he has rabies. Bowen on the bench. What position will Vlasic play? What position was Vlasic in when he scored? Don't remember. I don't remember. WHO, any chance of a live report from Seville at half time? No. Mandy, great to see you too. Thank you very much. Paul reckons 1-0 to us. Howard, love the show. Thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate it. Ruruni, slap that like button. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. Much appreciated. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. And thanks for your support over the last few days. Can we do a show dedicated to Lanzini? No. Grassham Upson, vintage still. Enjoy it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andy. Really appreciate it. And thanks for all your help as well in the background. English Yardie, I might need to speak to you about some images though, because look, I mean, anyway. English Yard, it's still a nice show. Hammers family, enjoy the rest of the evening too. Come on, you irons. Top. Andy, does anyone know if Still is going to Seville? Pat, good luck with the new channel. Thank you very much for sub last week. Much appreciated. Adil, thank you very much on the new channel. Right. Have a lovely evening. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you. Did I put the end thing on? There's another one I didn't do. I'll tell you what. Give me a minute. No, I won't put it on actually. Forget it. No end show. No end video because I forgot to load that up as well. Have a great night and see you very, very soon.